My name is Sharon Foster, and the night my brother's fiancé told my daughter her shoes looked like they came from a donation bin, my husband said nothing. He just stood up. That was enough. But to understand what happened when Maverick finally stood up, you need to understand why he had spent 12 years making sure nobody ever knew who he really was. We drove 4 hours to get to that party. Vermont to Riverside, Connecticut. Maverick drove the way he always did, one hand on the wheel. Classic rock, low on the radio. Our daughter Willa read in the back seat. Our son Jude asked every 30 minutes whether we were there yet. Maverick wore what he always wore, a soft chambray shirt from a catalog, caucus that had seen better days, brown leather loafers he had owned for 6 years and refused to replace because he said they had finally broken in, right? The easy smile of a man completely comfortable inside his own skin. I wore my grandmother's pearl earrings. Willa had on a vintage Ralph Lauren dress I had found at an estate sale. Soft pink, delicate embroidery, the kind of quality made to last decades. The mansion appeared at the end of the driveway like something from a film. White columns, chandeliers visible from outside. Lawn manicured to golf course precision. Luxury cars lined the circular drive. A Bentley that probably cost more than most people's houses. Our Volvo wagon, 8 years old with a dent in the rear bumper, looked precisely like what it was. A coordinator with a clipboard met us at the entrance and led us through the crowd. Past the VIP section where my brother Reed stood holding court in a perfectly fitted suit. Past the main seating area. Past the secondary tables. We ended up at a round table tucked into the corner nearest the kitchen door. Servers rushed past every 40 seconds. The lighting was noticeably dimmer here. The view was of a catering van, parked at an angle. "Mom," Willa asked quietly, "why are we sitting by the kitchen?" "It is fine, honey," I said. "We can see everything from here." It was not fine. We both knew it. Reed saw us from across the terrace. Something crossed his face. Quick, gone in an instant. But I had known that face for 30 years. Embarrassment. He did not come to greet us. Helen arrived at our table 20 minutes in. Reed's fiancé, 28 years old, beautiful in that carefully engineered way. Every element assembled with the precision of someone who understood that image was currency. Sharon. Her voice carried practiced warmth. "I am so glad you could make it all the way from Vermont. It must have been quite the journey." 4 hours, I said. "Not bad at all." "Well, you are braver than I am. I could not imagine living so far from civilization. Reed told me you work for a non-profit. That must be so fulfilling." The way she said fulfilling made it sound like a consolation prize. Maverick's hand found mine under the table. His thumb moved once across my knuckles. "Let her talk." Her gaze moved to Willa. "And this must be your daughter. What a sweet vintage dress. Very quaint." "It is Ralph Lauren," I said. "From the 80s. Better quality than most things made today." "Oh, absolutely. Vintage can be charming. It is just that people here tend to prefer current collections, straight from the runway. But there is something to be said for making do with what you have. Very resourceful. Making do. As though the dress were something we had settled for. She excused herself and returned, with guests trailing behind her. Everyone This is Sharon, Reed's sister. She lives out in Vermont, very secluded. Works for a nonprofit. A very chill life, perhaps a bit removed from our world. Actually, Maverick said, speaking for the first time, his voice pleasant and conversational. Sharon manages complex projects with multiple stakeholders and seven-figure budgets. The nonprofit sector requires quite a bit of pace, just less emphasis on profit margins. Helen's smile did not waver. Of course, though I imagine the salary must be quite modest. But that is the sacrifice one makes for passion, is it not? She moved on before I could answer. Around 8 o'clock, Jude wanted food. He was sliding from his chair toward the buffet when Helen appeared, as though she had been watching for exactly this moment. Oh, Jude. She crouched to his level. I am not sure those appetizers are quite right for you, sweetheart. Foie gras and caviar are very acquired tastes. Tell you what, I will have the kitchen make something more suitable. Spaghetti, perhaps, or fried chicken. I am sure you are more used to those at home. But I like trying new things, Jude said, genuinely confused. No need, Helen, I said, standing. My children will eat with their parents. We teach our kids to experience everything. Helen straightened. Her smile cooled. She glanced at Maverick, expecting him to soften what I had said. Maverick smiled at her blandly. Pleasant. Forgettable. Utterly unreadable. She swept away. Then Willa went to the restroom and came back wrong. Shoulders curved inward, arms wrapped around herself, eyes red. Honey, what happened? Some girls by the bathroom. She swallowed hard. They pointed at my shoes. They said I was wearing poor person shoes. They asked if we got them from a donation bin, because they looked so old. The rage that moved through me was white and immediate. Helen materialized at our table, as though she had been summoned, her voice pitched, just loud enough to draw the nearby crowd. Oh dear, is everything all right? Willa looks upset. Did something happen? Some girls made fun of my shoes, Willa said. Honest in the way children are before they learn it is sometimes safer not to be. Helen's eyes dropped to the suede flats. A microsecond of satisfaction crossed her face before she arranged it back into sympathy. Oh, sweetheart. Children here are raised in a particular environment. Their parents are business leaders. These children have very refined standards. She sighed. Honestly, Sharon, I have been worried about this. Your children are not used to environments like this. Living so far away without regular exposure to these social settings creates a kind of culture shock. Perhaps next time you could prepare them better? Make sure their clothing is more appropriate? It would save everyone a certain awkwardness. The crowd nearby was watching. Her message was clear and perfectly delivered. This is your fault. You brought your children somewhere they do not belong. I stood. My chair scraped the marble. Helen's smile widened. She thought she had won. Then Maverick stood. No raised voice, no quick movement. He simply rose with the unhurried precision of a man who has spent decades in rooms where things of consequence happen. He adjusted the button of his jacket, stood to his full height, and the air changed. Conversation stopped within a certain radius, not because anything had been said, because something in the atmosphere had shifted and people registered it before they understood why. Helen took a small step back, without appearing to realize she had done it. Maverick did not look at her. He looked at me, those blue eyes calm and completely focused. The question we had asked each other without words 1,000 times. Have you had enough? I thought about Willa's red eyes, about Jude being told the food was not for him, about the corner table by the kitchen door, while my brother laughed across the terrace and never once came to check on us. I nodded. He helped Willa from her chair with infinite gentleness. Then, Jude, we are leaving, I said. Helen's triumph returned immediately. You know what? I think that is probably the right decision. She projected perfectly for her audience. This is my house, after all. Mine and Reed's. I do have to maintain a certain image for our business partners, our investors. My house, said 3 times, as though repetition confirmed ownership. We were almost to the foyer when her voice followed us. Drive safely. And Sharon, maybe next time let us know if you need recommendations for the children's clothing. I know some wonderful boutiques that are not too expensive. Polite laughter from the crowd. Willa's hand tightened in mine. Maverick stopped walking. He stood still for a moment, one hand in his pocket, and I saw it. The expression I had seen exactly 3 times in 12 years of marriage. Once before a hostile acquisition his competitors believed was impossible. Once before he quietly dismantled a business relationship with a man who had treated a friend badly. Once before he outbid a Russian oligarch for a Manhattan property, simply to make a point. Not anger, not indignation. The expression of a man who has just been handed exactly what he needed. He took out his phone, scrolled for a moment, then turned. Actually, before we go, there is something I need to discuss with Reed. It is about the house. The room went quiet. Helen's smile froze. Reed emerged from the crowd looking bewildered. The house? What about it? The lease, Maverick said simply. I wanted to give you proper notice in person, since we are all here. Reed's face arranged itself into confusion. Notice? What notice? Do you remember the name of the parent company on the lease you signed 3 years ago? I think it is Ironwood Holdings. I honestly do not remember the details. Is there a problem? The corner of Maverick's mouth moved. Not quite a smile. He held his phone toward my brother. Read it. Out loud. Reed leaned forward. His voice emerged uncertain and growing quieter with every word. Internal directive. Dated April 2020. From V. Miller, Chairman. Subject: Foster account exception. Approve exception for Reed Foster residential file. Freeze 2020 rental rates indefinitely, regardless of market adjustments. Any difference between frozen rate and current market value to be accounted for in the chairman's family charity adjustment account. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the string quartet stopped. What does this mean? Reed said. His face had gone pale. It means, Maverick said pleasantly, professionally, the voice of a man concluding a straightforward business matter, that the lifestyle you have been enjoying for 3 years has been heavily subsidized. The market rate for this property is currently $4,200 per month. You have been paying $2,800, the frozen 2020 rate. Over 3 years, that difference amounts to $50,400 in effective charity. Reed staggered back a step. Helen's champagne flute slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor. No one moved to clean it up. You are right about one thing. Maverick said, looking at Helen now, and the pity in his voice was genuine. Class cannot be faked. Real class is about how you treat people when you believe they cannot do anything for you. The class you have been so proud of, this address, this lifestyle, this social standing, has been funded by my family's charity. Every time you look down at someone for wearing the wrong brand or sitting at the wrong table, you were doing it from a position you did not earn. You were living on borrowed elegance. As chairman and majority shareholder of Ironwood Holdings, I am formally notifying you, Reed, Foster, that I am exercising my right of non-renewal. Your lease expires on the 30th of next month. 30 days to secure housing that aligns with your actual financial position, Maverick, Reed said. His voice broke. I did not know. I swear I did not know you were. I know, Maverick said. That was intentional. But, Reed, your worth as a person has nothing to do with this address, or any of the rest of it. When you understand that, without needing these props to confirm it, we will talk. Really talk. The crowd parted as we walked to the door. In the car, driving home through the dark Connecticut roads toward Vermont, Willa's voice came from the back seat. Daddy, are we richer than Miss Helen? Maverick caught her eyes in the mirror. That smile. Being wealthy is not about making sure everyone knows what you have. It is not about making people feel small so you can feel large. He paused at a light and turned to look at both children. True wealth is being so certain of who you are that you do not need anyone's approval to confirm it. But she called your jacket tragic, Willa said. She did, and it is a 10-year-old jacket from a catalog. The elbows are wearing thin. He faced forward as the light changed. But it is comfortable. It keeps me warm, and it reminds me of who I actually am underneath everything else. Sometimes, the most valuable thing you can wear is just yourself. Willa fell asleep against her brother's shoulder somewhere around the state line. Maverick's hand found mine across the center console. We had not won because of the money. The money was just information. What we had won was something harder to manufacture and impossible to borrow. We knew who we were, and no table in any room had ever been able to take that from us. If this story found you tonight, you already know why. I will see you in the next one.